The video you're about to watch is completely based on real life events, my life story. So, this is me. My name is Aaron Shumba, but you can call me Aaron Shu. Naturally, you're probably wondering, what happened to me? How did I end up in a wheelchair? How did I become disabled? Was it because of a tragic accident? Or maybe some kind of illness? What really is my backstory? I wanted to basically share my testimony of who I am and what happened to me and how God has brought me so far. Just to answer the first question, no, I did not acquire a disability as an adult or as a child. I was actually born with a disability. Or maybe that is not actually technically correct. What happened is I had an unfortunate accident or incident that took place when my mom was giving birth to me. Basically, there were some complications that happened. The doctors ended up having to pull me out of here using forceps. My spine actually broke, it was shattered, and as a result of that, I became permanently disabled. Now there are a lot of opposing diagnoses when it comes to my actual disability, which is a whole topic on its own. It's something that I'm not ready to talk about right now, but what I can do tell you is what they said was the problem with me initially when I was born. It doesn't really go hand in glove with the signs and symptoms that I've researched on, and it's just way too different. So over the years I've seen different specialists, about 3 of them, and they've each said it's a different kind of disability altogether. Like I said, that is a story for another video. Basically what you need to know is my parents were told that your child is going to be bedridden, is not going to be able to walk, is not going to be able to stand on his own 2 feet, he's not going to be able to run. You'll be very lucky if he can even speak or sit up or even live to be 2 years old. So my parents were told that I would be dead by the time I was 2 years old, and that for that short period of time that I would be alive, all I would be able to do is just lie in my bed and not even be able to move a limb or a finger. Needless to point out, I'm obviously way beyond 2 years old. I mean, I'm now an old man by now, and I'm still alive and I'm still thriving for the most part. Yes, I do have my complications, but I'm still here because God just decided to change the doctor's reports. These were specialists, and one of the people who actually attended my case was, by that time, the Minister of Health and Child Welfare in my home country, Timothy Stems, a renowned doctor, well established, very well respected. And this was the guy who, if he told you that your child is going to die, then your baby would sure die. But in my case, God just decided to transform my story, and I am so grateful that it did, because I'm enjoying my life. So back to the story. I do tend to ramble a lot, please forgive me. So back to my story. Most of it, of course, I don't remember it personally, but my mom, my parents, my grandparents, of course, everybody has been just telling me what went on through the years, so that's how I know most of this. So when my mom was told that your child isn't going to live for very long, it was, of course, very difficult news to digest, but they just ended up accepting it for what it was. In today's language, they've just said, it is what it is. I think essentially they said that one way or the other. So they took me home, and of course my health was very delicate. Initially I had to stay in the hospital for, I think, for an extended period, because I had to be put in an incubator. I wasn't really doing well, my internal organs, there was just a lot that was going on. And honestly, I think at that point everybody just thought I would surely die, because my mom constantly tells me of how fragile my health really was, especially when I was younger, when I was a baby. She has told me of instances when she had to rush with me to the hospital right in the middle of the night. Sometimes I would just stop breathing. She said I would turn blue. I mean, I am a black dude. Imagine a black person turning blue. It's not really a good situation. So I understand that from The time when I was young, most of my time was spent in hospital. My mom tells me she always had to leave work or school. She was in uni at the time. Just always had to be with me in hospitals and stuff like that. My dad was also around, but a mother's love and stuff like that. And my mom was the one who was there most of the time anyway. During those times, only mothers were also allowed to stay with their babies in hospitals. So even though my dad was around, he also couldn't stay with me. I don't know, things were just messed up back then. I'm sure you guys do know what I'm talking about. As fragile as my health was, my parents just started seeing a lot of improvements in me, and I started doing things that they'd been told I would never be able to do. My mom says she never forgets one day when they just left me laying on the bed or a mat, I don't really remember. When they got back to the room, I had moved from one position to another. And they were asking each other, did you move the baby? My nanny at the time was like, no, I didn't. She was like, I didn't move him either. Did he move himself? How is that even possible? Because we were told he wouldn't be able to do anything by himself. And then they discovered a little later on, maybe a day or two, that I was actually doing a little bit of crawling by myself, moving myself from one place to another, and they were just amazed. And as people of faith, my parents knew that God was definitely involved in my story, and that if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't be happening. So I just started developing way beyond what they initially thought was possible, and the doctors were just astounded. They were like, look, don't get too hopeful. You might still not make it beyond the age of 5, but I did. They started noticing that I'm actually quite bright, I'm very sharp, and although I couldn't do some things by myself, I could move, I could crawl very well, I could talk, I could sit up without support. I was developing really, really well. The only thing that I couldn't do was stand up. Either even holding on to things, I couldn't stand up. It was just impossible. I still was able to develop in a lot of other ways. I might have been a little bit slower than my peers, but I certainly at the end of the day was at par with them, because I just kept on getting better and better and better. And the doctors did not have an explanation for this. Every time my parents would take me for a review, they would always be told that this is nothing short of a miracle. This is not supposed to be possible at all. It can only be God. So even when doctors are acknowledging that this can only be God, it definitely means that there is a powerful testimony that is behind my life. When I look at myself, I sometimes do forget, but I'm always reminded that I am a literal miracle. I'm somebody who isn't supposed to be alive, but I am still alive right now. And yes, growing up, my health hasn't been the best, but am I still alive? Am I still doing well? Absolutely. I do remember that for the most part, from my childhood to my late teens, my health was almost as perfect as possible. I was hardly going to hospitals. I was really fit. I was doing well. And maybe just when I was about finishing my high school, that's when things just started to be a little bit shaky, but it has been nothing that dramatic yet. I only started having some serious problems only a few years ago, but even when that is happening, when I'm really feeling down and I'm dejected, my mom always makes a point to remind me that, Aaron, remember, they had told me you were going to die. Every sign, every writing on the wall was saying you were gonna die. We were prepared to lose you, but God has kept you for this long for a reason and for a purpose. While people may think that there is nothing for you, God always says in his word in the book of Jeremiah 29 verse 11, for I know the plans that I have for you, to give you a future and a hope. Good plans, that kind of stuff. You guys need to check it out. But God does have a plan for my life, and I'm always reminded of that whenever I'm going through something. Like, if God didn't want you here, you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be alive. But because I am still alive, I know that I have a mission to fulfill and things that I need to accomplish. I have a race to run. It always encourages me, it picks me up, it elevates my spirit. Just the fact that God is keeping me for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences, honestly. And I think every single one of us is alive and on earth for a reason and for a purpose. And I'm one of those people. So I just wanted to share that testimony with you guys and let you know where I am coming from. That I'm somebody who was literally not supposed to be here, but I am. And that I will always, always, always be grateful. I know I'm not the only person who has a story like this out there, but I just wanted to share it so that I may, encourage somebody. You never know what the doctors might have told you. I am currently going through my own health battles right now, and the reports that I'm getting from the doctors are far from what I would want to hear. But you know what? My hope is in the Lord. I just keep looking unto the Lord, because that is where my help comes from. That is where my sustenance comes from. That is where my substance, that is where my everything comes from. God is my everything. And He is the reason why I have this testimony today. And that is the testimony that I wanted to share with you guys. That even in your own life, you may have received a really bad report. Doctors might have told you that it's over for you. Or you may be looking at your own situation and thinking it's over for me. But I'm just here to encourage you that God can still turn your story around. If He did it for me, there is no reason why He will not be able to do it for you. So I just want you to be encouraged by my story. Hopefully, don't worry, don't stress yourself, don't lose hope. God can turn the most severe of situations around.